A warm welcome to 1000 Undine Smiles and this short introductory video in which I will briefly and essentially explain the content. Basically, this is about understanding, exploring, and ultimately mastering yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, and your body in order to stop a worrying process and to counteract this very concerning process as well. This is a process on a molecular level in which unhappy, negatively influenced people draw energy in the form of electrons from happy, positive people. The result is that the content and positive person, if exposed to the destructive and negatively influenced person or environment for a long time, will themselves become negative. And please don't misunderstand me here. This is not about people who just need a shoulder to lean on for a moment or are going through a difficult emotional phase, but rather about people who are permanently in a bad mood, aggressive, or whose destructive attitude burdens the emotional climate and truly exhausts those around them. And anyone who exposes themselves to such an environment for an extended period, surrounds themselves with it or lives in it, will sooner or later become negative and unhappy themselves, because over time he or she loses electrons to the other person and ultimately becomes negative as well. And that's exactly what we're seeing more and more often, because this energetic dynamic doesn't just have an individual effect, but also impacts our collective interactions, which also helps explain the current state of our society. I explain this scientifically proven process in detail using colored illustrations in the next video, which is the first part of the introduction video. And you can also find a more detailed article on my website, which describes this process precisely and explains exactly what is happening here. This is a very important point, as it is scientifically proven what is happening here on a molecular level, because what happens is that each of us who's still constructive, who still feels positive, who still carries joy for life within themselves, who is happy, is gradually robbed, literally robbed of their electrons by those around them. Unfortunately, by people who no longer possess this positivity, either because they have already lost it, or because they never had it to begin with, or lost it very early in life and were never able to regain it. Because once this has been understood in its full depth and precision, the urgency also becomes clear how important it is that we protect our emotions, that we must not think negatively, that we must not feel negatively, because in this process, when we do so, we lose our electrons, we lose our energy, and over time we ourselves become negative, unhappy, dissatisfied, and even ill. And this is where ancient astrology comes into play. Not as an oracle or a guessing game, but as a precise mathematical tool for analysis. So I am talking about ancient astrology. That is important to emphasize. I will go into more detail about this in the next video. Yes, in any case, it now comes into play because it makes a person's fundamental energetic patterns visible. Ancient astrology shows you where your weaknesses lie, where you are open to negative influences, and above all, how you can remain stable. How you can remain stable on the inside so that you are no longer vulnerable and therefore no longer lose energy or give away electrons. And that is also the core principle, that this is essentially about ancient astrology and how to use it in everyday life. I will explain everything to you about it. I will help you create your own personal, individual birth chart. Everything will be explained, absolutely everything. You will come to understand for yourself what the planets actually have to do with thoughts, feelings, and the body. And Through these planetary connections, you will understand how they influence you and how you can then change how you can recognize your behavioral patterns, your thought patterns, and your emotional patterns here. The next video is a two-part introductory video, and I look forward to you taking the time to watch it, because after this two-part introductory video, we'll move on to creating the horoscope, your individual birth chart.